So I get people reaching out to me all the time, and people ask me basically the same thing. Lewis, I know that you've closed hundreds of millions of dollars in capital raising deals, but how did you do it without ever going to Ivy League school or spending any time on Wall Street? Like, what's the actual system and framework that you use for closing $100 million plus deals and earning millions of dollars in commissions? But really what they're asking me is how can they do it themselves? So before you book in a time to speak with my team to learn more about the Dealmaker system and how our students are literally closing 8 to 9 figure deals just within a few short months of joining the program, I want to share with you in this video my exact framework and process for closing transactions and how to earn 6 to 7 figures per deal in commissions. And I want to do so in a way that's not only actionable to you, but more importantly, so you can make a decision quickly as to whether or not this is something that you actually want to do. Because the truth of the matter is, this is not easy. This isn't for everyone. It's incredibly difficult, but it can happen quickly if you follow the right framework. So if you're anything like me, you just want to know the facts about an opportunity so you can quickly determine whether or not it's something that you want to pursue. And that's the exact same way that I want you to view all the material in this video. I want you to evaluate it the same way that you would evaluate any other deal or opportunity. You would do your due diligence. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you how members of my Dealmaker community, as well as my firm Cadenwood, are closing capital raising and M&A transactions without needing any previous finance experience. I'm also going to give you an inside look as to how I structure transactions to charge clients anywhere from $10,000 to $200,000 upfront per engagement so you can immediately start earning an income stream from Dealmaker. I'm also going to show you how we make success fees in the 6 to 7 figure range, and in some cases 8 figures, by charging clients 2 to 10% of the total transaction as the success fee, all while doing so 100% compliantly and within the frameworks that the SEC and FINRA have laid out for us. Lastly, I'm going to show you how I put together a team of bankers, analysts, associates, as well as closers, so I don't have to run the day-to-day and only focus on closing the largest transactions when I'm needed. By the way, I'm not holding anything back here in this video. This is the exact same process that I use at my firm Cadenwood to close deals. Like AIP, we did $6 million in equity as well as a $150 million credit facility for them. Or Eco Modular, we did a $25 million pipe deal for them. Or Lodell Energy, which we did project financing of $35 million. In addition to all of these. And they're the exact same systems and strategies that students like Brendan used to close a $200 million real estate transaction, which he earned $5 million in commissions from. Or Connor, who closed a $300 million deal. Or students like Vincent, who closed a $250 million debt deal and netted just under $7 million. And now he's moving on to his second, third, fourth, and beyond. All right, so quick background if you don't know me. My name's Louis Garose. I ran a successful marketing agency where I worked with household names, and I also did promotion for public companies. And then I went into private wealth management and worked with my first mentor, where we primarily focused on gold bullion transactions as well as precious metals and stones deals. And then that led me into investment banking, which is where I put together all the systems, frameworks, and processes I use to close $100 million deals without ever needing to have gone down the conventional and traditional path. Since then, I created a Dealmaker community of high-performance people where I take all the secrets I learned from the elite, as well as the investment banking playbook, and show people just like you how to create income, build wealth, and accelerate their path to freedom through finance entrepreneurship. And the reason why is I vehemently believe this is the best kept secret the elite don't want us to know about. Now, there's a few different reasons why people join my program to become a Dealmaker. The first is they're a high-performance salesperson or agency owner who's looking for a way to fast-track their way to wealth creation. The second is they're a business owner and they're looking for a higher leverage vehicle to scale income faster, and they want to use deal making to do it. And third, lastly, they're an investment banker like me, or in financial services, and they're looking for a way to increase the quality and volume of deal flow they get, in addition to condensing the time it takes to close transactions. Now, what do all of these have in common? Speed, efficiency, basically leverage, the ability to condense timeframes and produce results faster than anything else I've seen. And that's the reason why the highest performance people on the planet, as well as companies, are deal makers. So here's what I mean by condensing timeframes. Let's use the first example. Let's say you are a closer and you are a top closer, like you're the top percentile total savage. You're on average going to be making between $30,000 and $50,000 a month. So what can you do to increase your income in a traditional time frame? You can either negotiate a higher percentage of commissions, or you can increase the volume of deals that you get. And we can call that on average an increase of say $5,000 to $10,000 a month. And that equates to between 10 and 33%. Now, what's the second one? Let's say you're an agency owner. Now, agencies in the top 90th percentile are going to be making anywhere from 100 to 250K a month. And that's net income after distributions, okay? Your top 90th percentile of agencies in the world. So what can you do? And I ran an agency, so I know this. There's really only two things you can do. You can either increase the number of clients that you have, or you can increase the revenue share that you have with each client. So we'll call that an increase of between 50 and 300,000 a month. And that's really where you're gonna start to cap out. And that's gonna be an increase of 20 to 120%. Now, the last one is if you're an IB. So let's say you're a top performer, top banker at a small boutique. You're gonna be doing between 4, statistically, and 6 transactions a year, all right? And you're gonna be making between 400K and 1.2 million a year. So what can you do? You can either increase the number of mandates that you have, or increase the quality and size of the transaction, all right? And we can call that an increase between 600K and 1 million a year, okay? And that's an increase of 50 to 150%. So those are the numbers that you're going to be working with if you are operating on a traditional, conventional time frame. So what I'm talking about here is a repeatable business model that has the potential to earn 8 figures a year. So let me break it down for you. So let's say you're working on a $100 million equity raise. We've been using the $100 million figure, so let's use it for this example. Now, let's say you charge them $50,000 upfront as your work fee. This is the money that you're going to use in order to actually complete the transaction, all right? Do all the work necessary to get the deal done. Now, you're incentivized by a success fee, which in this example, you will use 5%, which is, I'd say, on the higher end of average for a deal of this size, but that's what I want folks in the program charging, and that's what folks who get deals done are charging their clients. So how do you actually get the deals done? So the first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna price and structure the transaction, so then you can go out and market and sell the transaction. And at the end of the day, all we're trying to do is just connect investors, which we find by leveraging our network of investors within the program, as well as other mandates and counterparties that we have in our overall network. And we're basically just setting appointments with these investors and connecting them to our client's company. And at the end of the day, that's all we're doing. We're like a what? We're like an agency. And that's what I use to describe this simply. If people ask me, what do? I basically say something along the lines of, we are like a lead generation agency, but instead of selling appointments that are worth $10,000 to the company, we're selling appointments that are worth $100 million. That's what we're doing at the end of the day. So let's say we get the deal done. Okay, the investor puts in the 100 mil. What was our success fee? That equals 2.5 million. So you see what I'm saying here. Instead of working on that traditional time scale, which was in the best case scenario, 150% increase, and we're talking about if you are the top performer in your fields, now we're looking at a scenario where you are exponentially increasing your earning potential. And that's just from one transaction. Like you can be doing multiple of these per year. And that's really where you start to see the leverage in this model. Now, it doesn't end there, because what are we doing here? We are still a service provider. When you understand this mechanism, the pricing and structuring, the marketing and selling, how to evaluate deals, how to understand what investors are looking for in order to allocate capital, you understand those skills, and you can now transition from being on the sell side, which is what it's referred to as in the industry, to the buy side. which is where you become a principal. So you're actually the owner in the deal, okay? You've got equity in the deal. And this is what? This is private equity, okay? This is VC. All right, we're gonna talk about this more later, but one of the highest minting industries out of any industry is private equity for billionaires, minting billionaires, PE and VC. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to go from service provider and we're trying to go to the buy side as quickly as possible. And this is what you would do in say 3 to 5 years. You cut your chops here for say 2 years to 3 years using the deal maker model, and then you're going to move in to the buy side. Now, it doesn't end at PE and VC. There's hedge funds, right? You can take companies public, do IPOs. You can do merchant banking, which is what Cadenwood is. And merchant banking is essentially where you buy equity in a company and then you go out and raise money and then you make a profit on the investment that you had while also providing advisory services to the company. So let's say in this example, you put in like $10 million at a significantly discounted valuation to what this 100 million is being raised at, right? And now you go out and you raise them to 90 million. And generally what we do is we're only going to be looking at companies that are going to exit within a year or two. So I've broken this down for you. That's kind of the high level of the numbers breakdown. So the point I'm trying to hammer home here is you can make millions of dollars at the beginning on the advisory side of the business, the sell side, the example that we just showed. But where this model really gets interesting is where you transition to the buy side and you become a principal in the actual transactions, taking all of the industry knowledge and experience that you've gained to create generational wealth. And that's the reason why I've decided to be a deal maker for the rest of my life, because the upside is limitless and your income potential isn't constrained by time or even skill. It's entirely based on leverage. It's a game that you can play until the day that you die, and it's a game that every single ultra high net worth individual on the planet is playing. Now, is it difficult being a deal maker? Is it hard getting the transactions closed? Yes, of course they are. Nothing in life is easy. Does it sound too good to be true? Well, actually it isn't, because in order to source the deals, close the clients, structure the transactions, find the investors, contact them, set the appointments, negotiate the transactions, close them, and then get paid, which is every single thing that we teach inside of the program. What would it mean for you if you actually got one of these deals done? Or better yet, you had complete conviction in your abilities and you had the resources and know-how to execute. How many of these deals would you get done? I mean, we're talking about creating a 7-figure business from one deal that can be replicated multiple times per year. Why stay in a vehicle that has capped earning potential? And if you're already working really hard, why not work in a vehicle that has infinite upside? So after working for the last decade in marketing, wealth management, and investment banking under my current mentor and chairman, I've taken all of the pieces, everything that I've learned, and combined everything into the formula that I use now and synthesized it into what I teach to other high performance people. So here's how you can steal my system, the one that me and my students have used to literally close billions of dollars in transactions. And I'm not saying this is going to be easy, but it can happen a lot quicker than you think. Now, you're obviously not going to close your first deal in a couple weeks. They do take months to close. My aim for you is for you to follow the framework. I've already made the mistakes. So if you follow the steps, deals will get done. Now, when you think about closing a $100 million transaction, it probably sounds pretty intimidating. I worked on $100 billion gold transactions, and when I started doing this, $1 million deal sounded daunting. So it probably sounds like it's going to require a lot more work than usual. The SEC is scary. It's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees and require a large upfront investment to get started. Now, I'm going to outline why none of those things need to be true if you follow the systems and frameworks that I teach. So the main question you need to ask yourself is, how can you start working on deals from day one so you can replace your current income with upfront fees from signing clients so you can work on closing your first back-end deal and get your first success fee as quickly as possible? So whether you're in sales or marketing, or you run your own business, or you're already in investment banking or financial services, and you're looking for a faster and more efficient way to increase your income, now is the time that you want to start at least entertaining the idea about becoming a deal maker. Here's why you need to be taking deal making seriously right now. In 2025, private equity firms in the US alone are sitting on over $1.1 trillion in dry powder. That's capital that's just waiting to be deployed. At the same time, tens of thousands of founders and CEOs across the country are sitting on strong businesses, but they can't access traditional financing in the way that they used to. Investors are shifting more capital into the private markets and chasing returns that are projected to outperform public equities by over 2x in the next decade. So while there's no shortage of capital on demand, the real gap is who can structure the deal and make it happen. If you know how to raise capital, how to package the deal, secure investors, and close, you're stepping into a role that's in critical demand. That's why now, more than ever, deal makers are becoming the most valuable players in the economy. So here's the reality. There has never been more opportunity for those who know how to raise capital and structure deals. So if I could show you a clear, practical framework to source, evaluate, structure, and fund deals using a proven process, would you take it seriously? I'm gonna guess the answer is probably yes. And if not, then honestly, you should probably just stop watching this video. But if this is resonating with you and you see the potential and you're the kind of person who moves when they recognize leverage, then you're gonna wanna schedule a call in with my team to learn exactly how my community and system works. But before you do though, I wanna make sure that we're aligned. So let me quickly walk you through the 4 principles that I use as the foundation of my dealmaker strategy from a 30,000 foot view. So here's my dealmaker framework. I've broken it down into 4 pillars: deal sourcing, compliance, closing transactions, and becoming the principal. So pillar number 1 is deal sourcing, which is also our competitive advantage. Everything starts with deal flow, but unlike other investment banks who rely almost entirely on referral business, we leverage digital marketing. But how do we know what businesses or sectors to even go after in the first place? Well, we bring on industry advisors to tell us, and we leverage their track record and case studies on calls until we've closed our own transactions. So here's how you can generate literally unlimited deal flow. My mentor told me in his entire 36-year career, he's never seen this much. First, we scrape databases to find business owners in our target industries and revenue ranges. Then we use proprietary private email servers to send basically unlimited emails. If you wanted to send 100,000 a day, you could. And we're essentially saying in the email, we have a large network of investors and a team of advisors that have done deals in their industries. And if they're looking to raise capital, exit, or make an acquisition, they should reach out to us. Now, I'm not gonna bore you with all the complexities, but you can get pretty sophisticated with this software using AI to customize everything. But what's really important for you to understand is we're hunting in a market with outsized demand versus supply. There are thousands of businesses that are coming on market every single day that need to raise capital or sell their company, and there's simply not enough advisory firms out there to service all of them. So what we do is we book meetings with interested business owners, and then we use high-ticket sales strategies to close them on the engagement, or win the mandate as it's referred to in the industry. So the second pillar is compliance. Now, you've probably been thinking this whole time, what about compliance? What about FINRA? What about the SEC? Don't I need all these qualifications and licenses to do this? And the answer is yes and no. To conduct securities-related work, i.e. raising capital, you do need to be licensed. Does that mean you can't get started before you are licensed? No. As the owner of your own firm, you can take profits from the business without needing a license, which is why my broker-dealer Cadenwood can set up a branch office or affiliate for you and have our licensed reps sell your deals until you get your own licenses. Now, the third pillar is closing transactions. How do we close the deals and how do we get paid? Now, this is broken up into a few different pieces. So the first way that we find the right counterparties, which is just another fancy way of saying investors or buyers, is the exact same way that we found and sourced the deal or mandate to begin with. We're gonna go into the databases and put together lists. But instead of scraping company data, we're now going to be searching for private equity firms, family offices, venture capital firms, etc. that have done similar deals to our client's deal in, say, the past 6 months. And the second way is through syndication, which is where you cross-market your mandate with other deal makers and give them a cut of the success fee. We use the same private email server infrastructure to book appointments with the investors and have our advisors help us and our clients close the transactions. Pillar number 4 is becoming the principal. This is the end game. Advisory work or mandate work gives us cash, access to deal flow, and a skill set. But becoming the principal is where we build wealth. In the last decade, 353 new billionaires were minted in this industry, either through private equity, venture capital, hedge funds, or banking. The skill sets we're learning here on the advisory side of the business, or the sell side of the business, are the exact same skill sets you use the higher up in the industry you go. It's just the numbers keep getting bigger, and instead of you being on the service provider side, you switch to being on the buy side as the principal. Now, I only started working in advisory 2 years ago, and I've already started putting together my own private equity firm with my team at Cadenwood. All right, time to answer the burning question. Lewis, if you're making so much money with this, why the fuck on God's green earth would you be teaching it to other people instead of just doing it? And the reason why is twofold. The first reason is selfish. I'm aiming to exit Dealmaker for $1 billion because the strength of our community is the strength of our syndication network, and the strength of our syndication network means I can get my own deals done even faster. And the second reason is I came from nothing. I grew up in a single mother household in the second poorest postal code in Canada, and I was expelled from high school in the 12th grade. And I used this model to escape all of that. The education system's broken, so the only place that I could learn this information and escape was through online learning programs, like the one that I created. Now, I've seen behind the curtain. I know that the elite don't want us knowing this stuff, but the truth is, anyone can do it. Guys in this industry generally come from wealthy families, they went to prestigious schools, they worked on Wall Street, and I'm living proof that you don't need any of that to dominate in this industry. And as a matter of fact, oftentimes, using our systems, we can do even better than they do. Now, look, I know most of you aren't going to do anything with this information, and fewer still are going to be hyper-successful deal makers. I know lots of people are perfectly comfortable making a few $100,000 or a few $1 million a year, and that's completely okay. But I'm doing this to find the outliers, the few of you who are ready to get in the deal maker's seat, who are ready to change their own lives, their families' lives, and their communities' lives through the community that we've built in Dealmaker. So if this is resonating, book in a time to speak with my team. If not, no problem. You can keep watching all the content. You can DM me. But if you are one of the few, if you are an outlier, then I want to see you in the program. I want you to be one of the few deal makers in the world.